Hi, I'm Caroline Mitchell, canine behaviourist at Good Doggy. So in September, Dr. Samantha Gaines told MPs that the problem with pandemic dogs wasn't over. She said that dog behaviour problems tended to be reported at 2 stages. So they're reported at around 9 to 12 months. That's when dogs are teenagers, and we'll come to that in a minute. She also said that dog behaviour problems are very commonly reported at around 2.5 years old. And I wondered why that was. 9 to 12 months is a pretty obvious time. Hormones are affecting behaviour. Dogs can go all kinds of crazy at that time when they're teenagers. But at 2.5 years old, our dogs are really kind of approaching their adult stages. They're starting to settle down. Why would they be given up at that time? Why would people be coming to behaviourists at that age with a dog more than any other age? And then I had an email from a family who was struggling with their teenage dog. And I sent them off some information about how I could help them. And they emailed me back after that and said that great, that they thought that it was a great proposal, but actually they discussed it and they decided they were just going to wait and see if the dog would just grow out of the behaviour. And that's when it clicked for me, of course. I think a lot of people do this. I think a lot of people wait until they think their dog is going to grow out of a new behaviour. And 2.5 years of age, that's the time when they're kind of going, this dog is not growing out of anything by now. There are a lot of different life stages that your dog will go through between being a puppy and then a teenager before they get to 2.5. So I thought it would be useful to talk a little bit about what to expect at each life stage, and really to kind of draw a line under why 2.5 years of age, if your dog hasn't changed their behaviour by a certain time, they're probably not going to. So let's go through their life stages and see what's happening at what age, and at what point we should draw the line and say we need to get some help. So the first important life stage I'm going to talk about is the sort of puppy stage. This is from 3 weeks to 24 weeks. Before the age of 3 weeks, they're a newborn. And they're just sort of crawling about, and they're barely aware of their world. But when they get to 3 weeks old, the socialization period starts. They start to chase things, taste things, chew things, sniff, touch, play, bite. Their world is so new to them. Every single thing they come across is brand new, and they want to experience all of it. They are less vulnerable to fear at this age for very good reason. Their confidence levels are probably at the highest they've ever been. They are trying to explore, they are trying to learn, and they are normalizing the world around them. So because of this, they'll approach things that they won't approach later on in life. They'll have a certain boldness. Also built into kind of that puppiness is a kind of almost a sort of a shield, if you like. Other dogs expect their puppies' friends to get things wrong, make mistakes in terms of socialization and communication. They're expecting puppies not to be good at this stuff. So it's actually really common at this stage for dogs to be very tolerant of puppies. They get away with a lot. So puppies are confident to try new things, and it's safe. So this is kind of that period that they're in. 3 to 24 weeks is all about learning about their world. Something else that's happening during this time is they are very, very much pleasers. They are pleasing the adults around them. And that might be me as a human adult. It could be their mother, older dogs, other older people all around them. The reason for this is that at this stage of their life, they are not interested in the bottom of Maslow's pyramid, our pyramid of needs. The bottom of the pyramid is about safety, and it's about physiological needs. Those aren't their problem. At this very early life stage, all they care about is having fun, making friends, investigating, they're building their confidence, they're learning. So those other needs are taken care of by somebody else. That's their adult in their life. So that would be you or their mother or whatever, as I said. those aren't their problem. Somebody else is looking after that. So actually at this stage in their life, they are real pleasers. They can't look after themselves. They depend on us to look after them. So they'll do whatever we want them to do. They're looking for ways to please us a lot, which also means that they're very easily trained as well. So at this stage of their life, while we're trying to teach them new tricks, we're trying to teach them how to walk on a lead, recall, sit, down, whatever it is you're trying to teach your puppy, this is the fastest time they're going to learn it, because this is the time they want to learn it the most. Those high priority needs like food and security and sex and all that stuff, somebody else's problem. They'll be dealing with that a little bit later on. When those hormones kick in, that's when that becomes something that they will then start to think about a lot more. So when they become a teenager at the age of 6 months, that puppy phase is now gone. They are not looking for people to take care of them anymore. They are not a puppy. They are preparing to become an adult. So between the ages of 6 to 18 months, this is really, really important to them. The bottom layers of the pyramid have become important. So now they're thinking about sex. They're thinking about where does their food come from. They're thinking about how do I hunt? How would I take care of myself? They're not expecting caregivers anymore to provide all of their needs in terms of kind of nature and that kind of stuff. They are expecting to do themselves. And this is the time of their life when hormones are now starting to drive their behavior as well. So hormones have kicked in. They're becoming an adult. They're thinking about their own needs. They're starting to test boundaries now. And they are experimenting with different kinds of behaviors, trying to find out who they are. Are they good at guarding things? Are they good at taking care of things? Are they good at hunting? So all of these little skills they might have learned as a puppy while they were playing innocently, just rolling around with each other, biting on each other. Now your dog is starting to think about who they really are in life. What is their role going to be as they grow up and as they go out into the world, possibly by themselves. This is kind of where they are feeling that they might have to kind of start to fend for themselves and look after themselves. They're thinking about starting their own packs. They're thinking about sexual behavior, about reproduction, and all this kind of stuff. Now, before this point, they were at probably their most confident. Now, testosterone is starting to come, and that does increase confidence, but also fluctuating hormones and changes means that not every day is a confident day. So teenage dogs are particularly vulnerable to overwhelm. They can pick up anxieties, reactivity, and different kinds of behavior problems are going to start in this phase. So we're not growing out of anything anymore. We're growing into behavior now. New behavior is being tested and experimented on. Dogs are suddenly realizing that things can make them anxious. Things are scary. They can become reactive. If they're overwhelmed by lunchtime, it doesn't take very much to put them into a position of fear or defensive behavior. That causes reactive behavior. So this is a particularly difficult time. The emotions are all over the place. They're testing their boundaries. They're testing themselves. So they're learning new behaviors. Anxieties are starting to kick in. When we're coming into being a young adult at 18 months, between 18 months and 3 years, this is the time, and it depends on the size and breed of your dog, just like all of the other life stages. But at this point now, they are really starting to settle down into a pattern of behavior. The testosterone is giving them confidence and growth up until now, but they don't need the growth so much now. Most dogs will be nearly fully grown. They may be having a little bit of kind of tweaking to do, but essentially they're just about right. They're nearly there. So they don't need as much of that stuff anymore. While they were a teenager, they tried loads of new behaviors. The stuff that worked is now going to stick around. And this will start to form their adult behavior. Again, refer back to that video about why dogs do what they do, how they learn new behaviors, why behaviors become new behaviors, how they fulfill needs, how behaviors make dogs feel good. So all of the stuff that has worked up until now, that has managed to achieve something for them, fulfilled a need, has made them feel good, is all now becoming part of their routine, normal behavior. So at this point now, it's getting harder and harder to change behaviors. It's also becoming harder and harder to create new ones because they are less influenced by the world around them. They are less distracted, less excitable. So as things are going on, as your dog is aging now, between 18 to 36 months, they are now starting to settle down into adult behaviours. So why 2.5 years? I think it's pretty obvious now that it is all about the fact that people keep thinking that once their dog has become an adult, that they will settle down into normal dog behaviours. But we can see that that's not true. They've been forming habits, they've been trying new things, and as they've aged and grown, those behaviours they've been useful, they've been productive, they've made the dog feel good, they've achieved aims, and therefore those behaviours that worked really well are going to stick around. So at this age, your dog is not going to settle into a calm dog. Their reactive behaviour is not going to disappear. They are not going to suddenly start walking to heel on their lead. These kinds of things, if they've worked up until now, they're going to just keep doing them. Sure, they're going to be less distracted, less impulsive. They don't need as much exercise. They don't have the same drive to play or to socialise. But if they've been doing things for a long time now, they're just going to keep doing it, because learning and experience is a huge influence on behaviour. Much more of an influence than age. And if this behaviour is serving a purpose, then there's nothing that's going to happen that's going to change it. So I think 2.5 years is obviously the point in which people just give up hope of a natural change. But in reality, we know that if a dog was going to grow out of a behaviour, they'd have done it before 6 months. Up until 6 months, they can grow out of a behaviour, but after that, they're growing into behaviours. New behaviours are coming. So if your dog's a teenager and you're hoping they're going to grow out of a behaviour, it's probably not going to get any better if it is actually achieving something for them. And we have to look at it from their point of view. There's no good thinking about yourself, thinking, well, barking is annoying, my dog will stop doing it eventually. Dogs don't find barking annoying. Dogs don't mind pulling on their leads. Dogs don't worry about any of the stuff. They don't think about your neighbours if they're worried and they're anxious when you leave them on their own. They don't worry about any of the stuff. They're doing these behaviours because it works for them. The lead pulling gets them where they want to go. Crying when you're away relieves pressure, it relieves anxiety. Barking at people when they walk past the house moves them away from your territory. When you're introducing a dog to another dog that they're scared of, putting on a big display, barking and lunging makes that dog go away. So when we look at those types of behaviours from their point of view, if they are fulfilling a need, if they are fulfilling something, then your dog is not going to grow out of it. And if your dog is over 6 months old, then the chances of them growing out of it anyway are massively reduced. So once you've got past 6 months old, don't wait for the dog to grow out of it. Allow nature to take its course, but get involved, intervene with their behaviour and start pushing those changes. Your dog is experimenting with new behaviour. They're trying to find out what works for them as a teenager. This is a beautiful time to try and train them, because whilst they're looking for new ways to solve problems and new ways to get good stuff and make themselves feel good, we can introduce the ones that we like. And then all we have to do is keep that going until it becomes a habit. Also check out the habit forming video, because I think you'll find that useful as well. I'll see you in the next video. Take care for now. Bye bye.